everybody. Welcome in. For those of you joining me today, I hope we'll have a few friends joining today. Welcome everybody. How are you? I want to wait and see if we can invite some of our friends in. Hey, thank you so much, and thank you for the hearts. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Joyce, hi. You're so faithful, Joyce. I'm so grateful to you. Oh, and I see some more friends. Stacy, thank you for joining. You all, Stacy's amazing. If you don't know Stacy at Brave Nutino, you need to get to know her. She is a brilliant technology facilitator. I just want to let you know, and she made a really cute video for me when I presented at ISTE for Amazon Education. So just a little shout out to Stacy. She's really great. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Joyce. You're so sweet. And thank you for sharing too. And welcome everybody, and welcome to my replay viewers. I'm so grateful to have all of you here on this first day of August. You know, most people say, oh, can you believe it? And I'm like, okay, I think I can believe it. I'm excited for August. I think it's going to be a great month. And oh, thank you, Stacy. You're so great. And I think it's going to be a great month. But I know that it's stressful for some folks. Trust me, I remember. As an education consultant, I joke with my friends that are principals and teachers that are a little bit concerned about going back to school. And I said, when you're an educational consultant, every day is like going back to school because you're constantly in that mode of working. And but I remember the time. Oh, thank you for the hearts, friends. I remember the time when I was most recently a school principal, and gearing up for that back to school time is really exciting, but at the same time it's a little tough, right? So I just want to invite everybody in. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me take just a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself in case we have some new friends on the scope today. My name is Lisa Dabbs, and I am an educational consultant and a blogger and an author and a speaker, and my passion, as I've developed it over the years, is to support and mentor new teachers. I'm also an adjunct professor, and I work with pre-service teachers at a local university. And so it truly is my passion, friends, to support new teachers, support pre-service teachers, and make them feel that there's someone, there's a group, there's a community that's coming alongside them, right? I don't know if you all remember, for those of you that aren't new teachers, what it was like when you were a new teacher in the classroom. And friends, I didn't have a mentor. I was really on my own, and it was really tough. And so in my commitment is, why does anybody else have to go through that? Let's not have any new teachers and pre-service teachers as they're getting ready to enter their classroom feel like that, right? Let's surround them with a community that might not necessarily be at their school site, right? So we surround them with a social media virtual community, right? And so as I developed my passion for new and pre-service teachers, again, share a little plug, I developed a chat for new teachers, and it's at Pound NT Chat. It's 6 years running as of May, and the idea is for it to be practitioner focused and supportive. Oh yes, thank you, yes, yes. And sometimes they don't help, right? Because you just don't meet, you don't match, there isn't a good vibe there. So yes, that's why I really believe strongly in surrounding them with a virtual community. So I did that, one of the pieces there, by developing NT Chat, which is it's the first and third Wednesday of the month at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and for you Central Time folks, it's at 7 p.m. Central Time, so that they had a chat for their needs. And so I developed topics around the really specific needs of the new teachers. It's very practitioner focused, friends. It's not very theoretical, and sometimes I'll have people pipe in and say, well, why are you showing that and why are you teaching that? And I said, because that's what they learned in college. I'm practitioner focused in the chat, friends. I want them to go away with an idea. I hope they leave with 10 ideas, but if they can at least leave with one, then my job was done that night. And I'm so blessed to have experienced teachers join me. Oh, thank you. And have sometimes principals join me. I've even had a couple of superintendents join me. And I've been really happy when that happened, because I feel as though they're getting a chance to see what new teachers need, what they're tweeting about in that short hour, and maybe even connecting with some of them later. So The new teacher chat is for that support. And then friends, along with that, I developed a Google Plus community, a Facebook community. I've developed Pinterest boards for new teachers. And now, thanks to, I have to give a shout out to Valerie Lewis, an amazing educator. And you can find her at PassTheScope.edu hashtag. Put in that hashtag and you'll find her. But she was the one, friends, that really inspired me to get back to Periscoping. But friends, getting back to Periscoping with intention. I know that there are thousands of Periscopers now, right? For those of us that are on Periscope. But for me, it's important to be Periscoping with intention. And then Periscoping around things that I hope will support and mentor new teachers. So my scopes are going to be, friends, 99% of the time around the needs of new and pre-service teachers. So today, I'm going to share, and I thank you all for coming really quickly because I don't want my scope to go beyond like 15 minutes. I'm going to scope in this series, my back to school series, on working with parents. Now, most of you that are experienced teachers know that's a tough one, right? I'm a parent. Some of you are parents. I was a principal who was a parent. I was sometimes a teacher's worst nightmare because I would come in for parent conference and the poor teachers of my sons would be like, oh my gosh, you're a principal and I have your child. But after they got to know me, they knew that it was okay, that I wasn't going to bite them, that I really admire all the work that they did, with my children. But when you're new in the classroom and you begin to work with other people's children, working with parents can be very, very challenging, right? So I want to share 5 quick tips for that, and I hope that they can be helpful. So let's go to the first one. I really believe, and most of you will probably chime in with this, and please add some comments because later on when others see the replay, they'll say, oh yes, that was a great idea that Stacy shared or that Joyce shared, besides what Lisa was saying. So yes, absolutely, Stacy Pitfering. So the first one, pretty basic. And you'll say, oh, yes, Lisa, of course. But for a new teacher, maybe not so much. So begin on a positive note. Okay, and I love that I say that because, honestly, friends, that's not always the case. There are new teachers that I've worked with in the past who didn't begin with a positive note. The first encounter they have with the parent is an angry encounter because the child that they were working with, the student, the parent's child, is doing something they're not supposed to, not turning in work, maybe having a few behavior issues. So if we begin on a positive note, and I know this is a resounding message all across our personal learning networks and Twitter sphere, but I have to say it again, friends. Begin with a positive note. So begin that first few weeks of school, and I know it might be hard, with positive messages. I'm so happy to have your child here. I'm so happy to have Susie, Johnny, Jose, Lucy, and share something positive. Maybe you send it home with the child in a note. Maybe you send it home via email. Maybe you have an ability to text it, and I'll talk about a little application that I really love, and some of you please share the ones that you like. But let's just say, start with the good old-fashioned phone call home to parents. And I know, sometimes we don't have emails, sometimes we don't have messages, sometimes we don't have numbers, but let's not come up with barriers, let's come up with solutions. So quickly, let's make sure, new teachers, start with the most positive thing you can do to say about the child that you've observed in that short 1 to 2 weeks. And yes, Stacy, absolutely. So number 2, ask parents for the best way to communicate with them. Before I get into a great application that I love, find out from them. Do they work nights? Will a phone call not work in the afternoon because they're taking off for work? Do they work shifts? Do they work out of town, and are they home with a grandparent? Is an auntie maybe taking care of them? So find out from them, do a little quick survey and find out what's the best way to communicate with you. Do you like text messaging? Do you like emails? Do you like phone calls? Should I just send a paper note? And of course we know that sometimes those notes will get home. But let's find out what's the best way to reach our parents? What's the best way to communicate with them? And then let's be consistent and keep your notes. Keep your notes. New teachers, keep your notes. Okay, these 6 parents likes text. These 4 parents like a phone call. These other 10 prefer an email. So find out from them which is the best way to communicate with them. Maybe pass this around at back to school. Maybe try to find out before back to school night, but find out from them which is the best way to communicate with them. Okay, and then number 3, invite parents to be a part of your team. Okay, friends, when I was a principal, I would have teachers come in and say, this parent doesn't like me. This parent's angry with me. This parent is always upset with me. So what I would ask them is, well, what have you done to make the parents feel welcome? And as Stacy said a few minutes ago, it's petrifying for a new teacher when they encounter students. Oh, thank you, Rosul. I appreciate that. That's so kind of you to say. Thank you so much. So in order for it not to be as petrifying, invite them in. Let them know that they're a part of your team. And this might be hard, but find ways, find solutions, find ways to bring parents in. Can they volunteer in class maybe once a week? Can they read to students once a week? Maybe they come in virtually. Oh, my friends, we could do that now. I couldn't do that when I was a teacher, but you can. Have parent volunteers that come in through different modes. Maybe they come in through Skype, through Hangout, through appear.in. You can set it up so they can volunteer. You know, we don't have any roadblocks anymore, friends. We don't have any non-solutions. For every problem, there's a solution. So how can you invite them in? If they can't come in physically, can they come in virtually? Or is there some good old-fashioned project that you would love for a parent to help you out with that you send home? So if we invite them in and let them know that we want them to be a part of our team, they're going to feel so much more welcome. And yes, Stacy, even if it's just offering a project like that, oh my gosh, parents are going to feel so good. Let me tell you really quickly. I was a principal for many of the years that my boys were in elementary school and ongoing. So I wasn't able to volunteer. I wasn't able to be in the classroom. And sadly, friends, we didn't have all these virtual opportunities for me as a principal to come in and help. I would have loved if a teacher would have sent home a project for me or called me and said, hey, Mrs. Dabbs, would you be willing to do this project at home? I think our assumptions, friends, sometimes keep us from that. Yes, that's right, Rasul. They might have thought I didn't have time because I was a principal. So here we go. Our assumptions might cause roadblocks. So take those out and say, Mrs. Dabbs, I know you're a principal, but Mr. King, I know you work a night shift, but Mrs. Thompson, I know you're a police officer, but. So let's remove those assumptions and open up those lines of communication and solutions so that we can have all our parents be invited in. So important. Okay, number 4. Do some PD for parents. Now, I know, friends, we're exhausted. And speaking to my new teacher community, you're even more exhausted. It's your first year, 3rd year, maybe even your 5th year. But friends, trust me, do some PD with your parents. Maybe it's a short half an hour PD 3 times during the school year. Maybe, yes, Russell, especially for our ELL parents. Maybe it's an hour, twice a year, where you do something fun and ask the parents what they need support with. If 5 parents show up or 50 parents show up, it doesn't matter. The point is you did it. You shared with them. You made them feel welcome and you brought them in to the learnings. Yes, it's so great to work with our parents. And again, ask them. Ask them what they'd like to learn about. You might be surprised what they're going to share with you. And you might say, yikes, I didn't realize that they want to learn about that. Let me develop some great PD around that. And I could go into a ton of topics, right? But invite them in through workshops. Number 4, do some PD for parents. Maybe you do a quick Periscope and you share it with them. So it's a great opportunity to do some PD for parents based on a needs assessment, based on what they need, and you are also going to share some things that you want to make sure that they learn about as well. So let's do some PD for parents. And then lastly, learn to listen. One of the things that I think is so important, friends, is that as teachers, and I raise my hand as a principal, I did so much talking. I was talking nonstop. I'd be walking down the hallway and my teacher would say, Lisa, do I have 5 minutes? And I said, yes, walk with me. But I was doing so much talking that sometimes, friends, we don't slow down to listen. So number 5 is important. Learn to listen. What happens is parents are tired. Parents might be angry. Parents might be frustrated. And so they come in, and maybe sometimes they come in with a little bit of a aggressive posture, okay? But we need to listen. We need to listen first. And maybe that aggressive posture isn't really directed at you. It's directed at the freeway they had to drive on. It's directed at something completely different. But trust me, I've been there. Not only as a teacher, but as a principal. And later on, 5 to 6 minutes into the conference, the parents would say, "Oh, Mrs. Dabbs, I'm so sorry. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at..." And oh, just by listening, I help to de-escalate the situation. But I'm a skilled educator, okay? As a new teacher, you are not as skilled. Thank you so much for the hearts. So I want you to practice listening and then learning. And sometimes it's okay to say, "Oh, I can hear that you sound," but sometimes all I did was do this. And then I took notes and I said, I'm taking some notes because what you say matters. There's no way as a new teacher you're going to remember everything that a parent is sharing with you, everything that a parent needs to tell you about, everything that a parent needs to get off their chest. And again, remember, it's not always directed at you. 90% of the time, it's something completely different. Maybe it's a frustration going on at home. But if you listen, when you take the time to learn to listen, and yes, absolutely, Joyce, using the I statement, you're going to find windows into the needs of your parents, which then are windows into the needs of their children that you didn't know were there. So take the time to listen. About a year or two ago, I wrote a blog post, which I'm going to reshare, that's called "Let Me Hear You Listen." And it became so popular because friends all around my personal learning network said, "Lisa, I don't do enough with listening. I don't listen to my community. I don't listen to my parents. I don't even listen to my kids." So number 5, friends, learn. Take the time to listen and learn. And then lastly, I just want to give a pitch for an application that I really, really love. And friends, please put in the chat box, in the chat stream, something that you might enjoy too. So lastly, really quickly, I love the idea of using a text messaging app to communicate with parents. Now, I'm going to raise my hand again. My personal favorite is Remind, but there's different ones out there, right? There's Blooms, and there's a few others. So if you have a favorite, please share it in the chat stream so when our new teachers come back and they look later on, they'll see them. But I love Remind. I want you to go to remind.com and check out the application Remind. It is amazing. Oh, yay, Joyce, I'm so glad you do. I do too. I love Remind because I've already used it, friends, for many years, and it's great. I use it with my pre-service teachers. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when I was a school principal. Otherwise, I would have used it at my school site. But think about an application that might support you in your work. And again, new teachers, I'm talking to you. And think about using an application like Remind to help you quickly, pleasantly, energetically, enthusiastically share with your parents. And remember, an application like Remind allows you to share not only text messages, but links, maybe a link to a blog or a Google Doc that you've created. You can share a movie, you can share video, you can share, a movie is video, right? But maybe it's a video that's already pre-prepared. You can share images of the pictures of their children. And friends, what parents are going to want to enjoy watching that? Of course, you're going to make sure that you have all of those image pictures and videos approved, right? Parents have signed off and approved that you can take pictures of their children. But it's so wonderful. Okay, great. Joyce, she loves Edmodo. That's another good one. Blooms, I think, friends. I don't know too much about Blooms, so that's another opportunity. But think of an application, and I'm recommending that you try Remind, but there's many others out there that you might be able to integrate into the 5 steps, the 5 tips that I talked about. So let me go back as I wrap up today, and you've been so great. I'm so grateful to you all for staying around. Okay, begin on a positive note. Number 1, ask parents for the best way to communicate with them. Number 2, number 3, invite them in. Number 4, do some PD with your parents. And number 5, listen and learn. I want to thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you so much for your commitment to supporting new and pre-service teachers that you work with. I'm excited for the second to last day. And tomorrow, I hope you'll join me at the same time for my last back to school tips for teachers in this new Teacher Academy series that I brought to life from a blog series that I have, where we're going to talk about building relationships. And again, you might feel that it's a very simplistic topic, but it's so important. Building relationships is at the core of everything that we do as educators. Thank you so much, friends. I look forward to seeing you, some of you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. Eastern time. And thank you, Joyce. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for your commitment. And it's my pleasure and my honor to be here with my Periscope community and my Periscope family. Thank you, everybody.